So it's that time of the year where we typically get a letter from someone at Standing Stone Games in regards to what the roadmap is for the coming year. This year is no different in that we are getting a letter from Orion, who is one of the senior systems designers, and this is accompanied with a graphic that kind of lays out the 4 quarters of the year. So let's take a look at it and see what we've got coming this year. So the first part of the letter actually just talks about the recapping of 2023 and how they had some lofty goals last year, and some of them that they were able to exceed their expectations on, and other ones where they definitely fell short. So they did acknowledge that as well. And that kind of lines up with the interview I did with Severlin a few weeks ago, in that, you know, they could have done a better job of planning for the year and releasing more content on a regular basis. It does look like they're going to try to recommit to more and open communication, which is great. So part of that is where these letters come into play. So let's take a look what we can actually expect in each of the quarters of the upcoming year. In quarter 1, or the winter quarter, which we are currently in, we should expect to see the 2 3-player instances, the 1 6-player instance, the 12-player raid. This is all stuff that is part of the Corsairs of Umbar expansion pack that was released at the end of last year, and we are still waiting for that content to release, so that will be part of it. If you did not catch the interview with Severlin at the end of last year, that was largely due to the loss of employees due to Blizzard opening a studio in Boston and kind of poaching some employees. Looks like the main story is going to continue with Chapter 8, and also Delvings are going to get some additions, with being the Elder Slade missions getting added on and some additional malices. Now, I have a lot of questions regarding epic malices. Malices already are a kind of sore topic for a lot of people, and how they work and how they the combinations that you can get on certain days. So adding more or harder ones, or whatever this turns out to be, is definitely something I want to keep an eye on and see what that means for us as players. The good news is that means with quarter 1 of the winter being basically January through March, in the near future we should expect to see a good chunk of group-based content, which has been lacking over the last several months, and should bring a healthy amount of people back. The spring quarter always ends up having the Spring Festival and the anniversary in it, so there's usually a little bit lighter on the content side of things because they have these 2 festivals involved. But it does look like we are going to have not only the festival and the anniversary, but we are going to have an addition to the epic storyline and an additional content pack, which is the Catacombs of Umbar. From the description that is provided in the letter, it sounds like this is going to be some time-released quest that is going to be related to the Kindred of the Coin and what they are going to be doing going forward. Also, they're looking to make some of the landscape mobs a little bit more interesting, I guess is the way you would put it. So again, we'll see what that entails. Now, the summer quarter is going to be interesting here. So this would be July through September, and this will have the Midsummer Festival, an additional hobby. We haven't seen a hobby for a very long time outside of fishing, so very curious to see what they have in mind for this, and you know, how many players are going to be wanting to do this. They're finally getting around to the 4th profession being added. So if you remember, part of the Corsairs of Umbar was the ability to select what professions you want and getting rid of vocations. Part of that was supposed to be that you were going to be able to add a 4th profession, and it looks like the summer of this year that will be finally added, and so that is being made good on, albeit several months later. Looks like they're also going to be continuing the further adventures. This is not content that I regularly participate in, but I know that there is a fairly large portion of the population that does do that stuff, so I'm glad to see that they are getting some attention as well. We're getting a monster play update. Now, this could be very, very interesting. Could this be the return of the siege equipment out in the Etten Moors? Could this be a arena? Could this be something else? Or just changes to, you know, the armor and stuff? We don't know. So, you know, these things that are, you know, 6, 7, 8 months out, those things we probably won't get as much detail on until much later. But I am glad to see that there is going to be some love given to monster play, because I do like to participate in PvP personally. So I hope that bodes well for all of us who like to do that as well. Now, the last three things in the summer quarter that I mentioned is the elf avatar refresh, which I could take or leave. I mean, most of the time you're looking at the back of your character, so I don't really care too much what the front looks like. But I know characters are a big deal for players and what they look like, the representation that they have, and things like that. So I know that's an important thing for players. So we're going to see some additional class updates, and I would imagine my champion is going to fall into this category, I would imagine, because they haven't been touched in a while, and they're one of the remaining few that still needs to get some updates. So I would be hoping that the champion is going to fall in there. And then lastly, the VIP updates. Now, VIP with this game is something that has been updated over time, but really it hasn't had as much of an impact as I think a lot of people would hope. If you're paying a subscription to a game, you don't really get a ton of benefits. Yes, you get your LOTRO points every month. You get your town services and your crafting buff and all that kind of stuff. But there really hasn't been that, drive it home type of experience for a VIP. So I'm hoping to see some really thoughtful updates here as far as the VIP status for membership to the game goes. So I am looking forward to that and seeing what we get. Now, the last quarter of the year is actually very interesting here. So the autumn quarter, or basically October through December, we're going to get another expansion. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a mini expansion. It does sound like a larger one because it's going to have 4 new regions, a new instance cluster, and a new raid. Along with, it looks like if the epic is continuing, that sounds like a full-blown expansion. And I don't know how I feel about that personally, because with how the release of Corsairs of Umbar went with such a scattered release, and we're not even getting the full part of Corsairs of Umbar until the winter quarter, like several months after release. I'm a little hesitant to see another expansion being released in quarter 4. I would kind of hope that would be pushed out a little bit further and just maybe some additional content for Corsairs, but we'll have to see what that means. As far as the new regions go, it does sound like we are going to be going further out into the waste area of Haradwaith, which is pretty exciting because if you look at the current map, it's a very large canvas for them to work on. So they mention it here in the letter that they're going to be encountering new cultures, exploring the waste in a vast complex that serves as the staging ground for the instances and raid included with the expansion pack. So that sounds pretty big and it's exciting, but with, like I said earlier, with the release of Corsairs of Umbar and how that all went, and I don't want that to take away from the quality of the landscape and the story and everything with Corsairs, because that was fantastic. It was just the overall release of it that could have definitely been better. Also in the autumn quarter, naturally you will have Harvest Math and the Yule Festival, and there is something very, very interesting on here because this has been touched on several times in past producers letters, and players like to use the word promised, but you always have to take things that come out in letters or roadmaps with a grain of salt because of how production ends up coming to play. What I'm talking about here is the kinship refresh. Now, this is something that if you've not seen it, there is a post. It's a much older post on the forums from Galuhad. It is a comprehensive kinship revamp, and it is probably single-handedly the most thought out thing I've ever seen a player do in a game. And if they even take some of the stuff from that post, we would be in for a great refresh to kinships. Now, Orion points out that they intend to make some crucial changes to the kinship system, expanding the role, importance, and value of kinships. I could not agree more that this is a huge thing. And I really hope that they do a little homework on this and don't just do what they think is best. Ask what the players want. Dive into that post from Galuhad and put out some posts on the forums. Actually do some market research on it and ask what people want. That way it can be of value to people. So all in all, I think 2024 looks to be very interesting for Lord of the Rings Online. There's a lot of content coming over the 12 months, and I hope that they can deliver on this stuff, because this is a lot of stuff that is needed, has been asked for a long time. And if the goal of this is to return to a regular cadence of releasing, that is very important for an MMO to keep its population up. So I hope that they understand that and really drive that home, and are able to, with the new people that they're bringing on board over at SSG, getting them trained up and ready to roll, that they can deliver some amazing stuff. So that's going to do it for this one. As always, please let me know what you guys think about the roadmap down in the comments below. Tell me if there are things that you think should be added, things that should be removed. Let me know down there. And as always, I will see you in the next video.